I want to tell you the story of how I got hired as a software developer intern at King. King makes mobile games, and the one you might know is Candy Crush, which has like 300 million users every month. Also, they have an amazing office where I worked in London. They have unlimited snacks, guitar or video games, ping pong tables, a gym, you know, all the things that you want in an office they have. Another reason why I wanted to work at King was that I thought there would be quite smart people working at the company, because I knew the application pressure for these positions were really tight. In fact, they told us afterwards I got in, for 75 summer internship positions, there were 9,000 applications, which means that acceptance rate was something like 0.8%. which is actually lower than Harvard's acceptance rate. Enough for the bragging. I want to tell you how I was able to get this job and how you can get it as well without having a lot of programming experience or having a degree in computer science. So the first part of the process was applying online. And there I had to do two things. First, I had to answer questions about the company and why I wanted to work at King. And the second thing was that I had to show my work profile. For the first part, there were two questions. First, why do you want to work at King? Second question, why are you better than all the other applicants applying to King? Here, I'm guessing King wanted you to actually speak from the heart, but I know for a fact that you need to stand out from these two questions. You have to look very different than all the other applicants. You have to seem like you have really thought through this decision. And so the way I stood out when answering these two questions was that I looked at the company. I looked at the website, I did immense research, and I found that they had 5 values, 5 culture values. For example, humble and open, fast and fluid, and creative champions. So in the first question of why I want to work at King, I took out the value of creative champions and I wrote an entire, like a small essay about why, you know, creativity is the most important part of a workplace for me. And for the second question, I emphasized why I am a creative person. I tried to frame it in a way that I would fit into the culture of the company. So that was the way I stood out with the questions. Now, the second part was the personal profile, right? And there, I'm guessing most people have a personal profile which is quite boring. They're just showcasing a little bit of websites they've done and so on. I hadn't done many websites before this application. Actually, I had done like 2 websites on my own in my spare times, and in aggregate, maybe I had spent roughly 200 hours programming in total, which is not much at all. That's like 5 weeks of work. People have a lot more hours spent on Fortnite than I had done programming. So I didn't have that many projects to showcase, but I thought, you know, I have this opportunity and I need to stand out. I need to do something very different. So that's why I made this website. I made a parody website of Tinder where I'm in all these crazy situations that I've photoshopped myself into, where I'm handshaking with Bill Gates or looking like Einstein and so on. I wanted the King people to go into this website and laugh a little bit, because when people laugh, they usually remember. Also, this website might seem very hard to make, but actually it just took a couple of hours. Programming is basically Googling when you're at the basic level. It's all about Googling really, really quickly. I think there's 2 things you have to do with your personal website. Like, first, you have to stand out. You have to be different than all the other applicants. Second, you have to make it as easy as possible for the employer to get an overview of who you are, what you want to do, what your ambitions are, and just don't show anything bad. Just make it as easy as possible for them to say, oh, okay, this is quite an interesting person, I want to interview them. Because in the end, both the questions and the personal profile doesn't matter that much. It's just the first step. But you have to get that first step, you have to stand out in order for them to continue on the interview process. That was the first step. And I was, you know, I was really nervous. I didn't think I was gonna do it actually. I didn't think they would want me, because I was, as I said, second year. It would make no sense for them. But I got the call. Did I get the job? No. I had to do a video interview. No person. It was just me and a robot asking me questions. And that was tough. That was really tough because you had only 1 minute to answer each question. And it would be hard questions. Why do you want to work at King? What makes you different? And then there were some technical questions. And my suggestions there for the video interview was that try to structure your answer in that you have roughly 15 seconds before you can answer the question, before the video starts recording. And the best thing to do then is to think of 3 things that you can say, and you can say in an order of like, 1, I want to work at King because they're creative. Second, I will also want to work at King because they have great people. Third, I love video games and I love mobile games, and I think entertainment in general is really important for the world, and I want to learn more about it. So that's like an example of a structured answer that is easily digestible by an employer, and it makes you seem more structured and better at communicating. Again, I thought I was never gonna pass, you know, but I did. And now maybe you think, okay, you've answered questions online, you've done a video interview, do you get the job? No. At this point, I didn't know this, but there were going to be 6 more interviews, 6 more face-to-face interviews, and they actually flew me in from Stockholm just to do 2 interviews. Flew me in from Stockholm to London, and I got to go to their office and so on. I was super nervous throughout the process, but it turned out that most interviews were just dialogues, right? There wasn't that many technical interviews because at this point they'd already done some technical stuff in the video interview, and now they wanted to test that you were a culture fit. And what I found was, and what I actually talked to the manager afterwards, and I asked them what were they looking for, they were looking for a culture fit, right? They were looking for people to see if they were nice, if they were humble. It's really important in the interviews to think about that, to have that in mind, that they're looking to see if you're just a normal human being, to see if you will do the work, if you're passionate about what the company is doing. Like if you're arrogant and if you say you can do anything, you can learn stuff super quickly, much better than all the other people, you will not get the job. Don't be arrogant. Try to be as collaborative as possible. Try to be honest. Don't lie that you can do X when you actually can't. So why was I hired despite having no computer science background or not programming that much on my spare time? Why was I hired? Well, basically, they really liked that I engaged myself outside of school. First with these videos, then that I programmed some stuff on my own for no reason, and then third, I was doing events. Like I love organizing events together with other people with subjects that I really care about. They especially liked one event I did about ISIS and radicalization, where I flew in a sociologist from Lebanon to talk about her research about radicalization. And those types of events companies absolutely love. I know this for sure, and it's not that hard to make those events. Like if you want to make a hackathon with your friends, just get a sponsorship for pizza and invite some other people, and you know, if that is on your CV, companies will just be crazy for it and they will hire you all the time. So in summary, my tips for getting hired at King would be: first, make research about King and at any company you want to work with, and try to see if you're like a culture fit. Second, try to stand out with an interesting personal website. And third, engage yourself outside of your work or your school. So that's my tips for getting hired at the tech company. But then, what did I actually think of the work? Well, to my surprise, things went pretty well. I was working together with a guy from Cambridge and another guy who was studying in Oxford. We were able to work together, and I could perform in that environment. I worked on making dashboards for Google Cloud Platform, and things went pretty well. Fake it till you make it, I guess. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.